Okay, Brendan, here we're going to do the red chili so that you can do red chili for your pozole. I've got meat already cut up. You can get a pork loin, a pork roast, some pork chops. I'll talk to you about that. Whatever meat you get, you just want it cut up into little squares, about an inch like that. Go ahead, cut it all up ahead of time. I've got a bowl already with my red chili and garlic powder and onion powder, and the recipe will say how much. I've got a bowl with some flour. I'm going to put salt on the meat. Just a little bit. Just get salt on there. You'll have to add more as you're cooking it to taste, but got the put a little bit of oil in the pot. The pork that I have, you saw how it had kind of a good amount of fat in it. If what you're using doesn't have that much fat, you might put a little bit more oil than that, but you don't need a lot. Medium-high heat. Let the oil get hot. Put your meat in, stir it around, and what you're going to do is just let it go until it starts to get nice and brown on all the meat. You just want a good, nice, crispy brown. You can have your heat on high. Pause it. Okay, once your meat all starts to get kind of brown on there, you want to actually let it go, usually a little bit longer than this. But I'm going to go ahead and pull it out now so we can get the video done. But once it gets all kind of nice little brown, a little bit of crusty edges on there, take half of it out. Go ahead and take half your meat out. And you just set that aside, and that'll be to actually go in the pozole when you make the soup. So now you'll take your flour, turn your heat down to almost low. Sprinkle your flour on, and stir it around so it coats the meat all real good. Have your water ready in a big cup or a bowl or whatever. Put just a little bit of water in so that you don't burn the flour to the bottom. See how it's making kind of a paste on there? And then I like to go ahead and add my seasoning, your chili and your garlic and onion. Stir that up. I like to do it this way because otherwise you get clumps of red chili that don't want to break up. Some more of your water. I'm adding your water a little bit at a time and putting your chili and spice in first. That's how you get nice, smooth chili instead of having little clumps of stuff in there. You want to add your water till you've got it looking about like that. Once you've got it all stirred in really good and you've got it about like that, you'll turn it to kind of medium-low or up to about medium-high. Let it come up to a boil. Once it starts to boil, you turn it down to medium-low. Just let it simmer so that it just simmers, and then you just let it go. So I'll take another picture or video once it starts to simmer so you see what it's like, and then you just have to let it simmer for a good hour until your meat's nice and tender. Okay, so I've had it on high the whole time so that it would come up to a boil. You can see it's just getting ready to start boiling. Now you have to stir it every couple of minutes while it's on high, otherwise it'll stick to the bottom really quick. So while you have it on high and you're bringing it to a boil, make sure you come stir it every couple minutes. Once it gets to this point where it's starting to boil, you can go ahead and turn it down to low, like almost as low as it'll go. Put your lid on part way. And just come check it every 10 minutes or so. Come stir it. Make sure it's not sticking to the bottom. And it's going to take about a good hour. So you'll let it cook on low like that for an hour. Once it starts cooking, you're going to have to add more salt. So just add your salt a little bit at a time. And keep tasting it until you like the way it tastes. So you just add your salt. A couple little handfuls like that at a time. Stir it up good. Let it cook for a couple minutes. Taste it. If you need more salt, add more salt. You're going to want it to cook until the meat is really tender. You can pull a piece out with a fork and it'll break really easily. If it starts to get too thick on you before the meat's done, just add a little bit more water at a time and keep it at the thickness that you want it. If you want it thinner or thicker, you just keep adding a little bit of water if you have to so it doesn't get too thick. And you just cook it until the meat's really good and tender. Season it with the salt until the salt tastes just right. And that's it. I'll send you the recipe with the measurements for the chili and the other seasonings. And you can either make your pozole in another pot at the same time, or if you don't want to get too complicated, the meat that you set aside for the pozole, just cover it up, put it in the fridge. When the chili's done, you can always put it in a container, put it in the fridge, and make your pozole the next day. That way you're not doing too many things at one time. Make your pozole the next day with the meat, and I'll tell you how to do that too. And then all you have to do is reheat your chili when you're ready to eat and put it in there with it. So I'll make another video on the pozole when I do that, and I'll send you recipes, okay? Good luck. I hope it turns out.